Hello, Boris. Welcome to our interview about open source marketing. Let's start with you telling us about your role at Magnolia.
Hi, Sandro. Thanks for this opportunity. My role at Magnolia, I am responsible for various things. One is marketing, which is why we're talking today. I have two other major roles at the moment. One is Magnolia Americas, which is our subsidiary over in the US. And a further role is product management, so the development of our future products.
How did you get into open source marketing?
That's a tough one. I think I've always been interested in marketing from a very long time ago, from my first company that I built about 20 years ago up to today. So it was kind of natural in our company for me to take on this role. We're a small company, so it's a very flexible structure, and typically everybody just grabs whatever's out there and makes it his. So I think it's just a personal interest foremost.
What do you enjoy about open source software?
Open source software, as a producer of open source software, I think that's the part that I enjoy most. It's the communication with our community foremost, and the visibility that we gain and the feedback that we get. There are brilliant minds out there that by being able to work on the open source software can contribute to what we're doing, and that is exciting. I mean, this is really the best part when I look at stuff that comes in and I say, wow, this guy has done this, it's really cool. And then I need to transport this information to our developers and say, look, what do we do with this? But yeah, this aspect is great.
I have a tough question for you, and that is your definition of what is open source marketing.
Yeah, let's see. I think open source marketing is marketing as it is in general, but specialized to the open source channels, if you want. So in the open source area, you have specific blogs, you have specific websites that people watch. You also have a different way of communicating, which is much more open, it's more transparent. It's less hype and more content. So I think it's a different mindset about open source marketing than it is in traditional marketing. So the channels are slightly differently and the content is different. And I think that's the main difference to traditional marketing, if you want.
You are in the US, in New York. Right now we're in Basel, Switzerland, but you're traveling every 2 weeks, as far as I know, and you're building up the Magnolia office in New York. Is there a difference you realized between how to market your open source product in Europe compared to the US?
I think there are many differences. The expectations are differently in the US. There are all these images we have in our head about how the US economy works, how the consumers are. And a lot of that is actually true. It's much more hype. Marketing is very, very important, and the whole process is very fast. So it's much more hype than substance. That's my experience so far. So coming from a European country, like right now Magnolia International, we are sitting in Switzerland. This is a part where we typically have a very thoughtful way of doing things. We like to produce quality, and it takes longer. And this is very difficult for us to deal with. To have this Swiss mindset and come to the US and basically clash with the US mindset, and kind of have to be there and say we are the best, we're the greatest, and we have everything tomorrow. Whereas here we would say, yeah, well, yes, actually we can do this. Yeah, so it's a very different perception.
So from what you are saying about the differences between the US and Europe, is it that in the US you have to make a good first impression? Is that more important in the US compared to Europe?
I think that if you look at the US, it's a huge market that is hard to compare to the European market, because the European market is very fragmented. If we do something in Germany, nobody in France typically would take note of that. Whereas in the US, you have the ability to cross-reference anything that you do. At the same time, that means there's much more going on than here, because you have the inputs of everything that's happening all over the US, which in turn means that you have to be either very focused and specific about what you are transporting as your message, or in any case, it has to make a big impact. Otherwise, simply nobody will notice you.
And as far as I know from experiences, is that in the US you have to be at the point very fast telling about the business benefits of your product.
I absolutely agree. Yes, I mean it's the easiest way to sell if you want. You know, people want to know, what can you do for me? What can this product do for me? And I realized this from my own experience when I visit a website today, a web page today, and I can't find out within the first 30 seconds what this provider of this website actually can enable me to do. Then I typically leave the website because I simply don't get their message.
So I imagine that before you went to the US with Magnolia, you might have been more hesitant to have a buy button on your website and show an actual price, but I guess today this is something you would rather do on your corporate website.
We do this actually, being open source, we always did it. It's part of our open communication. It has two sides. Being upfront, it just eliminates a lot of problems that otherwise you would have to talk about and clear up later. And we're still a small company, and we try to be efficient. And one of the things where you can be efficient is information like that. You know, make everything available as much as possible, so people don't call us up and say, "Hey, how much do I have to pay?" We can just say they already know it. You know, when they call us up, which makes it more efficient. It's great for us.
What are the major trends you see in open source marketing?
I wouldn't consider myself to be a trend scout in marketing. If you look at what is happening in general out there today, you see a lot of social network marketing going on, and I would initially say this is what could be interesting in the future. I have no idea how to deal with it at the moment. How one could use this channel beyond the obvious, like I don't know, set up your own Magnolia MySpace website or a LinkedIn Magnolia group or whatnot, but really to completely understand this new medium and make use of it in new ways, I don't know yet how that would work.
You recently started a kind of blogging incentive, like you started to blog more, so in a way you are also using social media more today. Very
true, yes. I mean, blogging for me is already let's say it's not the future anymore, it's already part of what we've been doing for the last couple of years. I've been having a blog for a couple of years now, and we started a blogging initiative. It's very interesting because it's very hard to get your developers to actually start blogging, at least some of them. Some of our team do a great job, and I think that's a challenge. To enable that, because everybody's busy all of the time, and developers, they actually want to write code and get, move the product forward, and it's difficult to instill in them a sense how important it actually is that they share their thoughts in blog form. They do share a lot through mails, through wiki pages where we describe concepts in Magnolia, but to distill this into blogs, that's a completely different issue. Yeah, but true, yes. We're using the blogs as a medium to communicate, and I think there's a lot more that we can do. It's definitely interesting.
Where do you think are marketing experts of proprietary software vendors a step ahead of open source software marketing experts?
I think it's a little bit a different area where they work in. Typically they would have many more resources to do their marketing, and as we all know, having constraints sets free your imagination, you have more ideas, it sets free your creativity. So I think as an open source marketing manager, or if you do an open source marketing campaign, yes, you're restricted, much more restricted financially, but you're also able to do stuff that might be more fun. And so I think it's actually a good thing.
What's your latest marketing success and how did you achieve it?
I would say the latest marketing success is that we relaunched our website, magnolia.info, which we relaunch every 1 or 2 years. We used our latest version of Magnolia Enterprise Edition for it, and we have done a lot of stuff that we really like on the website. It's more interactive. There are more possibilities for users to interact with us and to provide feedback. From the communication perspective, we have done a lot of great stuff like newsletters there. But what was the best result of it all was that we actually achieved a ranking of, well, depending on when and where you look on Google. If you enter Magnolia into Google search, we're now definitely in the top 10, sometimes as high as rank number 5. Which is amazing given the fact that we have about 55 million hits for Magnolia on the web, like movies, and you all know the movie Magnolia, so we're very happy about that. I would really consider that being a great success of what we're doing at the moment.
At Magnolia, what's the marketing budget in relation to the overall corporate budget, and where does your money come from? Is it from venture capital? Is it money that you earn with your products?
Yeah, it's there's this old story. Before we went commercial, if you want, with Magnolia, the first 3 years it was a purely open source product, and we believed that by getting donations, we'd be able to maintain this momentum. And it turned out that within 3 years of having no commercial model beyond selling support and services, we got exactly $5 in donations. So we couldn't quite figure out how to split these $5 between us, which is why they're probably still sitting somewhere. Yeah, so the commercial option there means we have a dual license. We have an enterprise edition that we sell with additional features and additional support options. And we have found out that this works very well for us. And this also enables us to invest into marketing more than we used to do in the last couple of years. Budget-wise, I would say that this is somewhere in the 5% area. It's not a fixed budget, but I would say that's somewhere there.
Thank you, Boris, for the interview.
Well, thank you, Sandro.